And Paula, how are you?
Fine. How long?
Oh, we got about a half an hour.
Okay.
Yeah, so thanks for calling this evening and share with us and sharing with people over the last couple weeks about World Peace and Prayer Day, and just want to know a little bit about how we can help.
Well, to put it out for one, I'd like to explain a little bit to you if I can.
Sure.
We did the 4 directions in Turtle Island, and then we were approached by a man that wanted to take this event all over the world. And of course, by then, we were tired because we always do the ceremony in a prayer. We decided to agree, and we had a meeting with him, and we prayed about it. And then he turned around and he said, can we wait 2 more years to fundraise properly and, et cetera. And then we explained to him that once we gave our word, we had to follow through. So, in essence, we were stuck with that responsibility to follow through. The first year we took it after 6 years, because we did 4 years in the 4 directions, and then we did a Wopila thank you in the Park Hills where it originated, and we took it to Ireland. And in Ireland, we came to a sacred site called Ynez, and we brought actually the Protestants and the Catholics together. And at that time, they were still fighting. They were still warring. But they agreed to have a truce at the sacred fire and come to this sacred place. And so we did that, and they were, the energy there was kind of high because they were not used to being by each other, for one. So we had a Protestant and a Catholic come together and do their prayers together. What followed on that endeavor was that 4 years after, they took it to the 4 directions on what they call Ireland, the Emerald Isle. And in doing so, the 4th year, they made a truce. And since then, there hasn't been any fighting and any deaths. And of course, I think Clinton got credit for that, but it was really the people that took that on June 21st and prayed to the 4 directions and came together with that truth. And in 2002, we went to South Africa, and we worked with Ila Gandhi, Mahatma Gandhi's granddaughter. We did a horse ride and a walk from a place called Phoenix, and it was Mahatma Gandhi made his first newspaper. And of course, anybody that knows history about Mahatma Gandhi, he was a lawyer, and he became a very world-renowned peace leader, but he tried to reach the people through his newspaper. And of course, when the British came, that was the first place they burnt down, was that Phoenix community. And during that time of the apartheid, I believe it was 3,000 of these children checked themselves out of school with their teachers, and they marched and tried to stop the apartheid. And of course, many of them died. They lost their lives, including their teachers. These were children. So when we walked that day on June 21st from Phoenix Settlement to a place called Serene Temple, where it was a Hindu temple, and we had the Zulu and the Hindu and the local South African people walking, and of course we had 5 horses that we followed. We noticed that it was the children checked themselves out of school again. And we didn't know this till we reached this Serene Temple, when a woman had got up and talked about that time when much children and their teachers died. And that day they didn't die in vain. And so it was the first time the Hindu and the Zulu had after the apartheid, they lived right across the street, and they just, because the British turned them against each other, divide and conquer stuff, they came together and they ate each other's food, and of course they did their cultural dance and presentations and their songs of freedom and hope. And so the Hindu people fed, I believe, at least over 2,000 people that day with rice and chicken. And when we went in the background of the temple, I couldn't believe all these elders, and they were so happy to feed in these big flasks that they had going. And it was a beautiful time. And in 2003, in taking this event around the world again, so this would be 5, 6, 7, 8th year, we went to Australia. And by then, I was tired because it was, when you do this work, you go against all odds. The negativity, and it seems like it's much higher, whether it's trying to pull something together on a wing and a prayer, lack of funding, and wondering where it's going to come from. And but this time, I was really burnt out personally. And we did find our staff there, and they worked really hard. And they brought it to a place, well, a park called the Grampians. And it was owned by an Aboriginal tribe there. And in that endeavor, particularly that year, I was really burnt out. I really was thinking, somebody else has got to take over. I don't know what I'm doing. I was tired, physically ill. I think it was a lot of, people criticizing what we were doing, wondering what we were doing, what's so important about sacred sites in other countries, and of course I'm always to blame. Because being an organizer, and a lot of criticisms and misinformation and people writing up things, and I was really tired of the gossip. And so when we had the event there, the only place that we could find was this Grampians. And there was another side of the continent that was sunny and tropical and probably would have been perfect, but it was the only tribe that was able to house us and provide. And so during that time, it's kind of like the winter time. It's always raining and drizzling. And Aboriginal tribes there are like us back in the 70s. They're now have access to alcohol. There's, elderly abuse, children abuse. They're losing their culture. They're oppressed. They're, sad, and they're fighting each other. It's just now erupting. And so when we brought these different tribes together, there was this friction in, at the campground, and they would talk about each other, and of course, it's not our territory, and it was always trying to not pay attention and not feed into what was going on there. So that didn't make matters any better, feeling like I want to give up. And I want to tell this particular story because it really resonated to me how important this event is, honoring sacred sites and World Peace and Prayer Day. During that time, I was fed up, kind of, and it was cold and drizzling, and they had a canvas, and all these different tribes of elders and people were sitting there, and we were doing our kind of like farewell, and I'm glad you were here, and thank you for coming, and blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden, one of the staff said, you got to talk to this young boy. And so when this young boy approached me, he started telling me the story. And I was trying to listen to what Arvol was saying on the stage, along with one of the Aboriginal elders, what they were talking about, and trying to listen to two things at one time, but trying to be gracious enough to listen to this young man. And then when I started really paying attention to him, I grabbed his father and I took him to the stage. And I said, I interrupted them and I said, before you say any more, this man has to tell a story. And so he proceeded to tell this story. 37 years ago, his father worked for I think a medical facility in an Aboriginal community, and it was remote, and he did his time, and he was going to move. An Aboriginal tribe there had asked for his son to come and visit with them. So by then, he's like 16 years old, and he had grown up with the Aboriginal people, learned their language, and, he's non-Aboriginal. And they gave him a bundle, and it was a bundle of alligator teeth, 12 of them, which is sacred to their people. And they told him, in 37 years, you are going to meet a red man that is going to come from another country, and he's going to bring a message of peace. And it's a very important message that's going to be the key to what's going to happen to this world. And you need to give him this bundle. And so he took the bundle, and he was a young kid then. And of course, later on, he got married and had children, and it was in an attic in a chest, and they forgot about it. But he did tell his children. Well, that day, he and his son were en route to this event that they had seen in flyers or something, and they got into an argument, and the kid left alone, and he hitchhiked. He was so upset. And lo and behold, while he was going to the World Peace and Prayer Day event, the head of the Aboriginal people, kind of their spokesman, was on his way to the event to meet Arvol. And he never picks up hitchhikers, and of course that time he never picks up non-Aboriginal people, and he did that day. And while he was riding in the car, there were brochures that were laying on his seat. He was getting ready to, he's reviewing what was going to be happening. And when the young boy was looking there, he said, "Can I read one of your brochures?" And it was of the Grampians, and I think it's called Gary Moore. And when he opened it, it was an aerial view of the sacred site, and it was shaped like a horseshoe. And he asked him, "Please let me use your cell." And so he called his father, and he said, "You need to bring that bundle, Father." He said, your grandfather told you that you were to give that bundle to a red man, and the place is going to be a sacred site shaped like a horseshoe. The Grampians, I'm looking at it right now, it's shaped like a horseshoe. And so, in the excitement of it all, he was telling the story, and he said, on my ride here, bringing this bundle to you, I couldn't believe that these old Aboriginal, people, that their prophecy became true. And he said, "This chief belongs to you." And so he handed this bundle over, and he said, I also calculated this is 37 years to the day. And so for me, I was personally moved, as were all the Aboriginal elders there that were, all of a sudden paying attention to these ancients. Their grandfathers' words rang true to them, and they stood up in honor of what was being passed. And he said, there are 12 teeth in here, and there are going to be 12 people that are going to help bring this awareness to the world that needs to happen. And so, and of course, and then I finally found my renewed availability, I guess, to continue. And so from that time on, we went to Japan, and we had 7,000 young people at Mount Fuji come together, and it was mostly young people because they were told that something was going to happen there, and that they needed, to come together and bring their energy to help, save their people. And so we continued that journey, and then we did our thank you in the Black Hills in 2005. And then from then on, we've been to New Zealand, and the Maori people brought it to their ocean because the coral reefs are dying, and that's the blood cleaner of the ocean. And we all know what's going on with the ocean now, the spills and the contamination, and they're dying. So the water cleaner of her blood is now dying. And so from there, we've been to Mexico City, and we prayed in the Teotihuacan temple. And the anthropologist there allowed us to go inside. And we usually don't smoke the pipe at our World Peace and Prayer Day events because there's too many protocols that, are chancing to bring out our sacred items. That's why we just use the fire, which is universal. But at that point, Arvol decided to bring his pipe into the temple, and they only allowed 7 of us to go inside because it's so old. And there was a run there by some young Mexica dancers that ran for 4 days to Teotihuacan. And so we've also brought it back to the United States, and now people have taken it themselves. And when we do take this, and when we do attend different ones that are being sponsored, they're usually people that have helped bring attention to issues. One, we took it to Massachusetts. I have a son that passed on last year that helped sponsor that one in 2011, and a horse sanctuary called blueaquiculture.com. They've brought attention to a lot of the word courses that are in New York City that they just sent them to the glue factories. I guess they massacred them. But instead, these guys rescued them and let them live their life out of serving humanity. They give them their life back to live in peace. So there's many places that we have visited, and this year we're coming to the Chumash community. And my daughter just graduated from here for one, but there was a lot of gracious people in this community that really respect the native people of this Turtle Island, and they wanted to give back and bring attention to the sacred sites that need to be protected in this area. So we're going to Santa Ynez, Live Oak, California, and we're going to be having a 4-day event from June 20th, 21. We'll have it'll be starting at 7 o'clock in the evening. We'll be lighting the sacred fire, and on the 21st at 11 o'clock, we'll be introducing and helping people understand more about World Peace and Prayer Day. And on the 1 o'clock California time, we'll be offering tobacco to the fire. And again, it isn't just the fire. Our motto is all nations, all faiths, one prayer. And that has significance because these sacred sites are energy points, so to speak. On our bodies, we have, I've heard that Washichu word chakras, your power points. Well, these are Mother Earth's power points, these energy points. And if you as a human being, let's say you stub your toe, you ever notice you keep stubbing your toe there? It hurts, and you stub it again. And I always believe like your aura is kind of a little bit damaged there, and you keep bumping your finger or your toe or your elbow. And so on Mother Earth, these sacred sites are the chakras of Mother Earth. But the point with these sacred sites is what makes them a sacred site. underneath there's all this energy that is under the ground, whether it's gold, coal, oil, water, all of those things have energy. And so, even an animal knows where water is. We know there's that instinct. And so our ancestors, and other nations' ancestors all over the world, pilgrimage to these sacred sites, and they left more deposits of energy, of prayers for the future, prayers and homage to what they know is providing for them, which is, Mother Earth. And so when these sacred sites, they find out that there's something underneath them, and they say that there's a sacred site, every 20 miles, but some are more stronger than others. And so when it happens, when you start pulling out all the water, the gold, the uranium, the coal, whatever's emitting this energy, and the processes that they do this with, to pull this energy out, this resource, it goes up into the sky. And of course, scientifically, it creates a hole in the ozone layer. And so the poisonous processes make that hole. Now we're finding out that we're in trouble because of these holes. And if you look at it holistically, she's sick. Now she's going to live on without us, no matter what we do. But we are supposed to be the caretakers of Mother Earth, all humanity. And so what we're trying to do is to encourage all nations, all faiths, one prayer, to accept that responsibility. And whether it's a church or a synagogue or a temple, we're not trying to convert everybody to believe in our ways, because there are, we've met so many indigenous people in the world that respect their sacred sites and walk that tradition away. And so, in essence, when we do that, when we pay respect to these sacred sites, like when you bring energy to a body, a loved one, you give your energy so that aura, that energy in that body can heal itself. And we do that in ceremony. And I know people all over the world, even a mother of a child, when they pray to the Creator, they can give healing back to their child. So we do that in ceremony. We heal somebody. We give them our energy. That's what we're trying to do with World Peace and Prayer Day, honoring sacred sites, is we're trying to give our energy back to Mother Earth. And yes, we pray for Mother Earth every day. I hear that. Well, we do that every day. Yes, of course we do. Some people don't. But we're trying to be an information that if we can do this all together, all at once, we can make a difference, like we do in ceremony and at our sacred sites, and do our deposits of energy and heal that ozone layer, because those holes are getting bigger, and they're not going to get any smaller by any scientific remedy. It's going to be us. It's going to be humankind that's going to do that healing. And at one point, I remember going back to Australia, I told Arvol, I said, you know what, I'm really tired. I'm tired of getting criticized. I'm tired of all the gossip and the lies and blah, blah, blah. And I said, when are people going to listen? And, of course, he doesn't say very much. He doesn't argue. He just kind of listens. And then finally, in the end, he just said, when things get really bad. And, I don't know what our children are facing. It is probably going to get bad. And whether we like it or not, but there are people standing up out there all over trying to stop things like the pipeline and the fracking and trying to bring attention to her blood. And all of us know when her blood gets contaminated, our body gets weaker. And so the wars that are going on, there's this bombing on the other side of the world, but it affects all over. That resonates when you start to understand what energy is about. And so there's a lot of healing that needs to happen within each and every one of us. And it's a daily chore. It's a daily chore to forgive. It's a daily chore to think positive. It's a daily chore to go up against all odds. Even with this event here, I mean, it's the organizers that have been trying their very best to organize on a wing and a prayer of only really a few months, are really doing their darndest to make this happen. And so, if anybody out there can help them in any way, you can go to worldpeaceandprayerday.com or World Peace and Prayer Day 2013 on Facebook, and you can see the good work that's trying to be done and that's going to be done. And this is the one we're attending this year. I know there's one in Massachusetts in Palmer. I know there's one going on in Japan. I know there's another one in Ireland. I know there's one with the Maori people in New Zealand and, Australia and Mexico City. I mean, all over it's going on. And people are hearing. And I know we got proclamations from the South Dakota Governor Rounds and the Utah governor. But that's some work that needs to be done. So if anybody wants to take that up and get we could go on a grassroots level and get to the governors and maybe one day the president or the UN. And that's something that we're knocking on that door with the UN to recognize June 21st as Honoring Sacred Sites Day. They have a peace day, they have a prayer day, but the sacred sites is really the key. It's really the important understanding of what that really means and for our children. And so I guess I don't know how much time I have left, but maybe there's some questions, or I hope that kind of put in a nutshell why we're doing World Peace and Prayer Day.
Well, first, I
hope that you join us wherever you're at. And if your sacred site is in your home and in your backyard, hey, do your deposit, do your energy, do your prayer, do your meditation. The sacred white animals all over the world have revealed themselves. I know when we went to Australia, that's when they sighted the big white whale. And while we were at the Grampians, it was amazing because there was a white kangaroo right in that park that they never seen before that revealed itself the day before that man brought that sacred bundle. So they're the only thing that they're trying to tell us. They can't talk to us. And of course, there's probably people in the world that can understand, but we know that that's the sign from the white buffalo calf woman when they show their sacred color white. So, anyway, is there any questions, maybe?
Well, I just want to first just say I for one appreciate the work that you and Arvol are doing and bringing all of us together. And I know that from listening to Arvol many times about that Woikon, the energy that we all need to be a part of. The earth is really, really, she's tired. We're doing so much of the damaging. I know he talked about how where humankind has met that, where it went too far. And we have to come together. And I know, Paula, just from connecting to that energy, how good it feels and how I know how true it is that we can do this together. And I just my question is if people want to to come down and join, what would that look like for them? What would they need to do? What was the protocol that they need to do to come into that ceremony?
Well, it'll start the 20th at 7 o'clock, and there's camping available there, and showers and bathrooms, and we are we've been working really hard. My sister Juanita Espinoza and Brianna, her name is Aka. I know that some of you have seen her on the website, and Randy Garver. There's a lot of people that are coming together getting donations of food, and today they just brought in a bunch of carrots and beets and salad, and I would suggest that you bring food, whatever that may be, or even just funding for food or sponsor a meal. The food will be right by the speaking. We're going to be having a lot of speakers on the 22nd, and during that time, my daughter Grace and her significant other Juan and Kim Smith and my other daughter Hopi and other artisans, Beth Peterson in Los Angeles, they're going to be doing puppets, creating puppets all during the gathering, so there's something to do for children. We're also seeing if we can fundraise enough for this group that comes in and shows kids how to make bows and arrows and different things, teaching about the earth. We haven't yet fundraised enough for them, but we're trying to get them. So there'll be things to do for children as well. But in the end, on the 23rd, the children are going to do a story, a teaching story from them, a message to the adults. And so they're organizing that as well. So I guess I would suggest you bring a shawl or a skirt or a piece of material. During World Peace and Prayer Day, we'll be having a separate circle for women in their time, which is very powerful as well. And there'll be offering of prayers to the sacred fire. And we're inviting local clergymen or spiritual leaders or significant people to be the first to offer to the fire, especially the Chumash will be the first, of course, their elders, to offer on behalf of the healing of their people in the territory.
All right. Well, I really appreciate you taking time and to share with us, and I know that we'll be up here and joining you in that prayer.
Awesome.
So I just really appreciate everything you and Arvol do. I'm just speechless. I just really appreciate it. It's something that I'm grateful for and blessed at the work that you're doing for all of us to live and to be here and bring that awareness to that we're all a part of it.
Right, and I don't want to come off like we're doing it, because I'm going to tell you, if it wasn't for the wonderful people all these years that believed in it, and we've seen miracles through the hardships of making it happen, I mean, they're the real people that, and even more so, it was our ancestors that were the driving force, that the seers and believers in us as humanity to bring this back, because right really needed. The drug and the alcohol that has taken us away from our cultures all over the world, that has detached us from the graciousness of what is so important, which is to bring life back, real life back to the earth. They're the ones that put that in motion, and so now it's our responsibility to do that as well. So I really thank you for, allowing us to be on your show, and for the listeners out there, I really appreciate you taking the time to listen to this segment, and of course, Arvol's and Julie's and whoever else was on here promoting this event. But if you can really do something with us and be active in this, I would really appreciate it, and I know the grandfathers would as well.
Absolutely.
And thank you, Brian.
Yeah, thanks, and I'm hoping that you guys come up here soon. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
Yeah. All right. Well, and you have a good evening, and thanks a bunch. World Peace and Prayer Day .com. There's a place there for donations, and there's protocol and a list of speakers, and be in that prayer.
All right. Thank you. Have a good day.
Yeah, you too. Take care.
Doksha.
And this is Make No Bones About It. This is Raven Redbone, and we're just speaking with Paula Horne. And thank you for sharing. It's just for me, it's just amazing, folks. I know that the prayer, it works. The ancestors, like she said, and I know that all of us together, and that I love that word wohikan, that energy, the healing energy. It's all about the reconciliation of Mother Earth and us. We're all a part of it. No exclusion. We're all here together. WorldPeaceAndPrayerDay.com. It's in our brother Fry Bread Ray's country, Chumash country. I'm real excited about that too. And again, thanks for listening. This is Chaos Radio, and this is Raven Redbone. And I'm going to play a song for the 7th generation, Sissy Goodhouse.
Tuesday.